Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, again. Can you hear me now? Okay. I don't know what happened. I fooled with the sound and stuff, and maybe it came back. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, we were talking about Leah Remini and the absence of the leader, David Miscavige, and his wife. And she claims that the church was attempting to recruit her friends, Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony. Yay! Temporary. Yeah, I was going to be done because I have to get up for work anyway. But anyway, I thought, I now see where the cracks are in our church. And it's David Miscavige. It's Tom Cruise, Remini said. They were bringing down Scientology. But church leaders and allegedly Holmes claim that Remini was basically destroyed, that she basically destroyed the wedding. How could she have done that? Come on. She had nothing to do with her wedding. Come on. Really, guys? Don't think so. I'm sure Katie said that at the time. I'm sure she did because she had to. But yeah, I don't think so. Scientology officials told ABC News in a statement that in regard to Cruz's wedding, every claim Remini has made is not only untrue, but ridiculous and stupid. Uh-huh. Okay. 2020 also received a statement from Holmes, who divorced Cruz, of course. And it says as follows: I regret having upset Leah in the past and wish her only the best in the future. So basically she's saying, I didn't, I had to say it. I didn't mean to upset you, but yeah, no. Remini broke with the church in 2013 after ratcheting up her criticism of the organization for alleged abuses and corrupt practices. So, her book Troublemaker: Surviving Hollywood and Scientology, it should be out. So we need to read that. I think that would be really interesting. Yeah, I'm sure she totally destroyed her wedding. Don't think so. After splitting from the church, Leah gave former Scientologists a platform with the A&E series to discuss her experiences. She was joined by high-ranking people in the organization, former high-ranking people in the organization, who each have stories about secretive teachings, alleged shady business dealings, and abuses of the followers, former members, and their families. Yeah, exactly. She's stepping up the stakes. She hopes to provide enough evidence of wrongdoing to prompt a federal investigation into the religion. Yeah, it's too bad she did and would have saved Katie all that heartache, huh? Exactly. So, she's talking about the FBI, the police department, justice, the IRS, Remini said. If the FBI ever wanted to get anywhere, all they would need to do is a raid. Everybody who's ever gone to Scientology has folders, and everything you've ever said is contained in those folders. Ooh. Of course, the church declined to take part in the series. It is said that statements Remini and the other contributors to the show have made about Scientology are false and driven by a desire to profit, gain publicity from their time in the religion. And of course, you all know L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology founder, was under investigation in multiple countries and lived on a ship. And so to avoid all that, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Scientology's former international spokesman, Mike Rinder, explained that in the early years of Scientology, the church was under investigation for being a cult. And Australia banned the church in 1965. That's okay. You're allowed. You're allowed. It's okay. Anyway, Australia banned the church. Australia banned the church in 1965. And L. Ron Hubbard lived on a ship called the Apollo. He described it as a floating headquarters for Scientology. He was being investigated by the UK and other countries. Hubbard found he could sail away to international waters when necessary and away from the jurisdiction of any one country. Hubbard based Scientology on his claim that he healed himself from war injuries. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to post a picture of what she looked like and what she looks like now. It's amazing. Wow. Lawrence Wright, the author of the best-selling book on Scientology, Going Clear, says his research found Scientology's documentation of Hubbard's injuries and military service were, of course, fake. Yeah. That's the person that the church has. Let's see, what does it say? Wright said he found that Scientology's claim that Hubbard received many military service awards were false. The church told him that the records were sheep-dipped, that the military created a whole set of fake documents to cover up covert military duties. Yeah, I just don't believe that. Yeah. Now, Australia banned them in 1965. Hello, U.S., pay attention here. Seriously? You didn't pick up on this. Wow. That's the person the church has to protect, Hubbard. They try to cover the efforts of people like me and to uncover the truth. After steady rising through the ranks and becoming Hubbard's advisor, of course, Miscavige announced the founder's death in 86. And of course, Hubbard's passing was framed as an intentional decision by him to leave his body to go on to even higher levels of spiritual being. He went back to planet Xenu. The core belief of Scientology is that you are a spiritual being, Remini said. L. Ron Hubbard had reached the highest level of Scientology there was to reach, promoting this idea that there's an afterlife, and he found the answer to it by deciding to discard this body to go explore new OT levels. All of this is bullcrap. L. Ron Hubbard died of a stroke. Okay. Miscavige assumed the leadership of Scientology, of course. His official title is COB. But according to Ringer, Miscavige likes to refer to himself as the Pope of Scientology. Yeah, I think it was a plan of hell. It's just crazy. Tom DeVocht, who left Scientology in 2005 after 28 years, worked closely with Miscavige. His job was to work with city authorities for Clearwater, the worldwide headquarters. He said he was often dispatched to carry out outrageous requests from the leader. Of course. He said his doubt about the church began after Miscavige divulged they had Hubbard's various writings that was going to finish the OT chart. Oh, great. And it suddenly hit me, DeVocht said. Then it's a farce that Miscavige himself was going to finish these off. Hubbard died. He is not some superpower being. You have parishioners believing that L. Ron Hubbard obviously reached the highest level of Scientology there was. Remini said that he could actually decide to discard his body. Because, how else was Miscavige? Yeah. But Mork from Ork was cute. I can believe Mork from Ork before I can believe this. That's good. I love that. Xenu. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's great. I love that, Michelle. That's great. But that he could actually discard his body. What if he came out and said, L. Ron Hubbard died of a stroke? Then why are we doing all this if we're just going to die of a stroke, right? Miscavige is allegedly prone to resorting to violence against those who report to him, as well as encouraging violence among his staff. Jeff Hawkins, who was in charge of church marketing. He wrote a book about his experience called Counterfeit Dreams. Ooh, there you go. Described a violent scene in which Miscavige was unhappy with an infomercial Hawkins wrote, accused him of crimes against the church, and physically assaulted him. I was scratched up, my shirt was ripped off. Everybody else in the room was sitting. Then that happened on at least 5 occasions. DeVoe said Miscavige assaulted him when DeVoe couldn't get the city permits to destroy the sidewalks around Clearwater headquarters to dissuade protesters from standing around the property. DeVoe said that even he blamed himself for failing instead of being angered by what he said was a violent reaction. If the leader believed that someone was guilty of crimes against the church, he would tell other members to get that person to confess their crimes. Often, the other members would resort to using violence on the targeted member. It was like Lord of the Flies in there, says Rinder, who detailed his alleged assault by Miscavige on one episode. I mean, it was insane. It was literally, I'm going to beat the crap out of you before I get the crap beat out of me. Miscavige is said to maintain extreme levels of security at Scientology's Hemet, California headquarters to keep people out and church members in. Miscavige's father, Ron, says he and others were monitored around the clock at the headquarters in California. He described locks on the doors, sharp spikes on the gates, both facing out and in, being chaperoned by other members when exiting the facility, the internet being severely filtered and monitored, and eavesdropping on all calls. You ain't kidding. You're not kidding. And he decided to leave the church after what he said was a critical error by his son. David Miscavige gave his father an Amazon Kindle, which was connected and unfettered by the church's filters. Ron Googled Scientology, Remini said, and he was hard-pressed to find anything good that the world was saying. All he found was bad things. In 2011, after 42 years as a Scientology member, Ron left. He and his wife planned their escape for 6 months. Planned your escape? Oh my God. And they were finally able to do so during a routine trip across the street to the only refrigerator available to them on the campus. The guards were used to them making the trip and let the couple pass through the gates. David, Ron's daughters, and their children ended their relationship with Ron and his wife after they left, part of an alleged church policy, the disconnection. Miscavige allegedly created a grueling detention center called The Hole. Yeah, it's crazy that you had to plan that. In the early 2000s, Miscavige established The Hole at the headquarters in California, according to Rinder. It was a detention center for high-ranking members who displeased him. Apparently, I don't know if they can have their phones or if they're monitored or what the deal is. Honestly, the reasons for that could be anything from answering a question wrongly, not answering a question, a facial expression that was inappropriate, falling asleep after being up for a couple days. I mean, anything. You're in the hole, Rinder says. Oh, we'd be in trouble all the time. I may not say it, but my facial expressions, ooh, yeah. Rinder said he said as many as 100 people were held in the hole. He described the conditions, having to eat slop. Oh no! They booted you.